These dentist offices have 5-star ratings and hundreds of reviews, but their sites have very poor performance score and very slow loading times. They have no idea it is costing them money you can save them and profit from. In our last video, we scraped hundreds of businesses off Google Maps places into a spreadsheet. We gathered data like names, ratings, phone numbers, websites, and it's a good list. But a list of businesses is not a list of leads. So here's the real question. Which of these actually need something you can sell them? Today, we automate SEO auditing and lead generation. We take a sample of those websites and run each one through Google Lighthouse. We'll do a whole health check to find any opportunity to optimize their site. The tool behind this will be the Browserless Performance API orchestrated in n8n. We'll produce a rank list that we can filter by worst sites first. Those are the people we can reach out to. Here's some quick context before we build, because you've probably used Lighthouse already. And if you haven't, it's a tab in the Chrome DevTools, and all it takes is clicking the Analyze Page Load button to start the audit. It basically grades a page's performance, accessibility, best practices, and SEO. That's a great tool for one page, but you have to run each audit manually on your own machine. The Performance API is that same Lighthouse audit, except it runs in the cloud on Browserless servers. So you can run audits remotely on a whole list of sites, which makes scaling a piece of cake. You basically send one post request with a URL and you get back the full Lighthouse report as JSON. Browserless runs the Chrome and the audit for you, so you're not installing anything or managing browsers yourself. And since it's just an API call, you can point it to a whole list of sites instead of checking them one by one. We'll use n8n for orchestrating, and we'll start off with a list of sites we already scraped in a previous video, so go check it out if you haven't seen it already. Let's look at a single performance API call before we run the whole list. So here's how the request looks like for a single site. We're simply sending a post to the performance API with our token appended. And we also set the site we want to audit in the body. I'm pointing it at a dental website that requires improvement. We give it a generous timeout too, because a real audit may take variable number of seconds to run depending on the resources it loads. So it can be from a few seconds to a minute or two. I'll hit run and give it a moment, and we'll get back the full Lighthouse report as JSON. And as you can see, it's an overwhelming amount of data. We see scores, metrics, and a list of specific problems that the page has. It's already useful running it for one site, but if you're curating a list of leads, you need more than one site to surface valuable ones. So let's put this exact call inside n8n and loop it over the whole list. Here's the whole workflow. It's just a few nodes, so let's go through them from left to right. Let's execute this workflow now with the manual trigger, and while it runs, I'll explain what each node does. And one thing to expect from this run is that the full report can be a lot of data, and each site takes anywhere from a few seconds to a couple of minutes, as I just mentioned. So a large list is not instant. That's why we batch it. Okay, so after we trigger this manually, we'll read the spreadsheet to fetch our lead's website URLs. It's the same sheet we filled with scraped businesses on our last video, and every row is one business, and we mainly care about the website column since that's the value we're going to use to check the performance. Then comes the loop node. This one takes the rows and feeds them through in small batches instead of all of them at the same time. For each site in the batch, we're going to fire the exact same performance API call you just saw, with the website from that row dropped into the URL field. The response comes back as that giant JSON, so the next node cleans it up. Okay, this is a standard code node. It pulls out the numbers and signals from the response that we care about and writes them into tidy columns. And it also builds that plain English summary line, and we're going to read every one of those columns in the next chapter. The loop keeps going until every site has been audited. Then, once it's done with the full list, the last node simply writes everything out to a new sheet in one go. When it finishes, every business from that scrape has a full set of performance numbers next to it, showing where there's room for optimizing a site. If you're finding this video useful, I'd really appreciate if you like the video and subscribe to our channel to see more videos just like this one. The sheet is now populated with data, so let's quickly understand our headers data. First, we have these 4 scores. Each one is out of 100, so we'll see performance, SEO, accessibility, and best practices. Then we have speed metrics behind that performance score. LCP is seconds until the main content shows up, and Google wants it under 2.5 seconds. The rest measures freezing, layout jumping, and server response. Each has a healthy threshold, and the sheet shows you who is failing it. Then the last 2 columns is what's actually selling the job. Potential speedup is the number that indicates I can make your site this many seconds faster. And signal is a plain English summary, so that's ready to paste into an AI agent for this specific customer, or for you to have an idea of how to drive a conversation during a cold call. That's exactly what the next chapter is about. So who are our best leads here? That's easy. If we sort our audit status for anything that's not okay, there's clearly an issue. Let's take this one for example. It's throwing a status code 404. Let's just open the site up real quick to see what's going on. We can see that basically the URL on Google Maps is broken, so that's a good argument on a cold call for the customer. Then we can also sort by lowest performance score and target those second. Or better yet, if you want to tackle this from a speed angle, we can see which has the best potential speed improvement time and convince those customers that they can make their site load quicker for their customers. I'd say that's a pretty straightforward way to know which leads to contact first. And that's the whole workflow. We took a list of scraped businesses, ran an SEO audit for each one using Lighthouse with the Performance API, and then turned the raw scores into a curated lead generation machine. The broken sites, the slow sites, the ones with the most to gain, they all surfaced automatically, each with a plain English summary you can take action on. The Performance API is available on our free plan, which doesn't require a credit card to get started. And I'll drop the workflow JSON and the docs in the description so you can run this on your own list today. If you found this useful, please consider subscribing. The last video is where we built the scraper that feeds this whole thing from Google Maps, so check that out if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. This was Alejandro, and I'll see you on the next video.